There's the issue of, does that consent cover me for the use I make in response to it? So if I say on Twitter, can I use your video in tonight's 9 o'clock news? I then go ahead and use it on the 9 o'clock news. It would be very difficult for that copyright owner to turn around to at 9:30 and say, you didn't have permission to use my video on the news. Because, well, look at the tweet. I asked for the permission. It's very clear. You said yes. It's now 9:30. I did what you said. I did what I said I was going to do, and you said I could do. So the fact that there's no sort of legally binding contract signed by both parties, I don't think matters so much there. Where it can matter, though, is if the permission request was something like, can I use this image in perpetuity around the world, syndicate it to all my partners, and that's what you get a yes on Twitter in response to that request, and then you go off and use it, and then a week later, the owner decides, actually, I've just had a better offer from someone who's going to monetize this video for me, and obviously those kinds of organisations do exist. Not mentioning any names in particular. And if that Twitter user then turns around and says, please stop, then they can pull the rug from underneath your feet, because that permission isn't sort of binding on them going forward, because you haven't sort of bought that permission. There's not been an exchange of value which will mean that they're bound by that grant of permission. At the stage of, can we use this? Yes. That's a bare permission. It's just a consent which can be rescinded. In that breaking environment, getting the immediate permission, which can be obtained in that 140 characters, or even through Twitter's now longer DM process if you're following each other. But we all know that once footage gets into the archive, gets into the systems that everyone uses, it can sort of develop a life of its own. So I think there has to come a stage post the kind of urgency, after the real breaking side of the news, that you go back and try and clarify the permission and the scope of the permission, but also try and wrap it up in a more kind of legally binding way on which you can rely going forward.